She bulldozed my wife's resting place and told me to get over it. That's how this all started. The HOA built 28 condos on my land while I was lying in a hospital bed fighting for my life. And right over the old oak tree where I buried Sarah's ashes, they poured a slab of concrete like her memory was just another piece of debris to haul away. Barbara, the HOA president, looked me right in the eye and told me it was too late, like justice had an expiration date. But let me tell you, she made a mistake. You want to know how this ends? Stick around, because you're about to see what happens when a man has nothing left to lose. That 5-acre patch was never just land to me. My dad left it to me back in '83, the last thing connecting me to the old world, to him. We cleared it together, just the two of us, one chainsaw, an ancient Ford tractor, sweating through summer after summer. Dad always said, land's not home till you've got a landmark. So we left the big oak right in the center, something you could spot from the road and know you were almost home. Even after he was gone, I'd walk that ground and still hear him warning me about soft earth, telling me to respect the land. When Sarah died, that oak was the only place that made sense. She was quiet strength, same as that tree, and it just felt right to lay her ashes at the roots. I promised her, out loud, I'd build a cabin right there someday, a place where Emily, our daughter, and the grandkids could come just to be, a space for peace, not noise. So for years, that's what I held on to. The land was fenced, quiet, mine, and I kept the promise close. I never had any real trouble until the new HOA showed up, Heritage Point, with Barbara Kelso at the helm. Now, Barbara had the kind of polished, relentless energy that makes you check your wallet after shaking her hand. She started sniffing around, calling my land underutilized green space, and dropped hints about survey maps from the '90s being unclear. I just showed her the deed, signed, stamped, no ambiguity since '68. She didn't even flinch, just smiled that politician's smile, and said paperwork could be messy. I wrote her off as another clipboard warrior, until I landed in the hospital, heart pounding, 3 weeks flat on my back, machines beeping, and my mind stuck on all the things I still hadn't done. While I was busy thinking about keeping promises, Barbara was busy moving bulldozers. I came home on a Tuesday, dead set on getting out to my land, just needing to see the oak, breathe under its branches, and everything was gone. The fence erased. In its place, just mud and the skeletons of buildings, those ugly, slapdash condos, packed so tight they blocked out the sky. Concrete everywhere. My oak, Sarah's tree, gone, ripped from the earth, buried beneath a corner foundation. The rage I felt then, it's like everything else inside me froze, and the only thing left was the need to make this right. I walked straight onto my own land, ignored the new "no trespassing" sign, and was immediately stopped by 2 security guards, one kid, one tired old ex-cop type. "You can't be here," they said, acting like they owned the place. Not according to our paperwork. He even patted his pepper spray, just in case I missed the threat. And I just stood there, staring at the spot where Sarah's oak used to stand, thinking, they built this in 3 weeks, but I can take it down a hell of a lot faster. Next morning, I called the county clerk before my coffee even cooled. The woman there sounded like she'd heard it all before, but when I gave her my parcel number, she went quiet. "Yes, Mr. Carver, your deed's clear. No sales, no liens, nothing." Relief hit me hard, until she added, "That's the tricky part. The HOA filed an intent to develop, using a plat map from a 1997 boundary survey. That survey was never finalized, just a handshake dispute over 10 feet of fence line between my dad and the neighbor, but somehow, it ended up on file. And now, the HOA was using it to claim my parcel as their common area. The county, too swamped to care, just rubber-stamped the permit. Barbara called me herself that afternoon. Smooth, fake concern. "So sorry to hear about your health. So sorry about the mix-up." She invited me to a community meeting that night. It was a setup, and I knew it. But if I didn't show, she'd make me out to be the bad guy. I walked into that beige, badly lit clubhouse. 40 people staring. Barbara at the front in her power suit, flanked by her pearl-clutching board members. She gave me the floor, like it was some big favor. I held up my deed, voice steady, and told them, "This land has been in my family for 50 years, here's the proof." Barbara didn't even look, just gave the crowd that sad, patient smile. "But Mr. Carver," she said, That deed references an outdated map. The parcel's been neglected. It's a liability. We acted for the good of the community. Some folks even nodded along. Then she leaned in, real low. Why don't we discuss a buyout? Like a bone tossed to a dog. I called it what it was, a bribe. That set the room off. Shouting, accusations, the whole circus. I walked out humiliated, smaller than I've ever felt. Emily caught me in the parking lot, begging me to take the money, terrified we'd be crushed by legal fees, afraid for her kids. That hurt worse than anything Barbara could say. But on the way out, I grabbed a folder from the table by the door, Phase 5 expansion plans. That night, I couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop seeing that slab of concrete where Sarah's oak used to be. So I went out to my garage, the only place still mine. I flipped on the light and stared at the blueprints for my demolition business, stacks of permits, cases of demo charges. And looking at that Phase 5 map, I realized they weren't stopping. They were coming for my other parcel across the road, too. They thought they'd cornered some old man. They didn't realize they'd just declared war on a demolition expert. After that night, I went quiet. No calls, no threats, nothing. Let them think I'd given up. Barbara spent more money, poured more concrete. But my first call was to Lena Brooks, a civil surveyor with a brain like a steel trap. I slid the deeds and the HOA's sketchy survey across the table at a coffee shop. Can you find me something solid? I asked. She smiled. I'll find you the anchor. 2 days later, she called. Turns out, my dad had filed a utility easement back in '78. A 20-foot right-of-way for a main sewer line right under a third of my parcel. It was on every county map since then, untouchable by law. They'd built 12 condos on top of it. An illegal, unsafe structure, a public health risk. Now, I just watched from a distance. Crews cutting corners, working fast, Barbara bragging in newsletters about community spirit, even thanking me for my cooperation. The real gut punch? They started using the site of Sarah's Oak as a dumping ground for broken concrete and garbage. That killed any last hope of a quiet settlement. So I made my move. My other parcel had an exclusive access road, a clause from my dad. Next morning, my foreman and I blocked it with concrete barriers and a big, private road sign, legal reference and all. Within hours, the site supervisor was calling me, screaming about 5 cement trucks idling on the highway. I told him he was trespassing on a recorded line that forced them to reroute 3 miles out of their way. Time, money, panic. I knew the paperwork better than they did. That Friday, I went to the county's dusty records basement, not the front desk, but straight to Frank, who I'd helped once in a flood. I quietly filed a demolition permit. Reason, unsafe structure, owner never consented, built over a municipal easement. Frank stamped it, tucked it away under my company's name. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait. Barbara wasn't finished. Next thing I know, sheriff's deputies show up at my door. Barbara claimed I was threatening her contractors and spying. But the only surveillance I had was catching her drone flying over my house, hovering above my granddaughter's swing set. I showed the footage to the deputies, clear as day, HOA logo on the drone. They realized real quick who was actually being intimidated. Emily came by that night. She was at her breaking point. Dad, they'll crush us. Please, sell the land, come live with us, let it go. For her sake, I told her I'd think about it. That was a lie. That night, I sat in my truck watching the crew pour concrete right where Sarah's Oak used to be, prepping for their big, grand opening party. They were celebrating their victory. I started making calls. Friday dawned perfect. By 9:30 a.m., the ribbon cutting was a circus, balloons, coffee, a crowd of 60, news cameras rolling. My crew, in plain clothes, had slipped in before sunrise, hiding the heavy machinery behind the trees. I waited on a nearby hill. When Barbara stepped to the mic, gloating about community and overcoming obstacles, I gave my guys the signal. The bulldozers roared to life, breaking through the fence, rolling into the crowd's view. I walked right through the crowd, steel-toed boots, work shirt, my company's logo for the first time out in the open. Barbara tried to stop me, called for security, but my crew had her clipboard warrior blocked. I took the mic and told the crowd, "Come as you please. My name is Mike Carver. I own this land. You are all trespassing." I handed Barbara the injunction, a judge's signature, site condemned, immediate demolition authorized. Her hands shook as she read it. "You can't do this," she whispered. "I can, and I am. On cue, my crew started tearing into the model condo. Glass, siding, wood exploding. People ran, cameras caught it all. I held up Lena's survey, highlighted easement in red, and the fake map Barbara had filed. You lied, I told her, loud enough for everyone. You lied to the county, the investors, and every single person here. Barbara tried to fight back, spun a story for the media, painted me as a rogue veteran sabotaging affordable housing. But every move she made backfired. Her lawyer's emergency order got tossed in court. Judge fined them for wasting time. She tried bribing a city inspector. He recorded her and took the envelope straight to the DA. Bribery investigation. Strike 2. Final straw? Barbara herself, caught on my security cams at 2 a.m. trying to plant a recorder and zip ties on my property. Deputies caught her red-handed. In her car, they found my grandkids' school info and my daughter's work schedule. She'd crossed a line no one comes back from. Felony charges. The HOA board resigned en masse. The association dissolved. The news showed Barbara being led away in cuffs. Her empire crumbled to dust. I spent the next few weeks dismantling those condos piece by piece. When we were done, the land was bare, quiet, almost like I remembered. Emily and the grandkids helped plant a new oak where Sarah's had stood. Chloe, my granddaughter, placed a stone at the roots, a silent promise that some things can never be erased. The city settled out of court, paid for the cleanup, and I used every penny to set up a scholarship fund in Sarah's name for kids learning a trade. The county redrew my parcel lines in bold ink, made a new law, the Carver Rule. No more land grabs by HOAs without unanimous consent. The community actually started talking, helping each other. No more petty fines or fake authority. One day, a former board member came to apologize. We just wanted to feel safe and organized. You showed us what that really means. Good neighbors, not rules. That spring, Emily and I built the cabin we'd promised, slow and right, teaching the grandkids every step. And now, every evening, I sit on the porch, watch the new oaks sway in the breeze, and know this place is truly home. But let me ask you, was I right to fight? Was it justice? Or just another war over dirt? Drop your thoughts below, because out here, everyone's got a story, and everyone's got an opinion on what's right and what's fair.